have to get a boat for tomorrow. And it began to look that way. And in a sense, you have all come here in a boat, your own boat. Because grief is like that. Even though we come with family and supporters, we each one of us come on our own private pilgrimage. Because grief is like that. Grief is unique to the person who has it. And the child you are mourning and remembering today has a special relationship with you, and a different relationship perhaps with your partner and your other children and the grandparents. So you've come here on this pilgrimage. And I was thinking yesterday about the refugees in Europe. You have seen them on the television walking across Europe, looking for some place where they could be safe, looking for some meaning in their lives, having had a terrible disaster in their own country. And they came by boat from Morocco and all along the North African coast and down as far as Libya. And they landed in a foreign country and began to walk. And of course, like anybody leaving home on a pilgrimage, they brought with them all the stuff they thought was essential. They brought pots and pans. They brought extra clothes for Europe because Europe would be cold. And if you were to walk behind them as they made their way through Europe, you would be walking on the things they had thrown away. Those coats gone, the pots and pans went very early. And you would see how they were received along the way. There were people who shut their doors when they came, or crossed the field to avoid them. There were others who opened their doors and their hearts to them. And the one thing that they did not put down ever, and when they arrived at the borders of Germany, they were still holding that precious thing, and that was their children. They would never ever put down their children. And in your pilgrimage of grief, I'm sure you found that there were people who were open to you and people who were closed to you. I'm sure you have found that many of the things that before your grief and loss you thought were essential to your life became inessential as you went along, and you simply put them down. But what you never put down was the child in your memory. And if you are newly grieved to a certain extent, you're carrying that child here in your arms. There are people here who are grieving for over 40 years. And if they could speak to you, the newly bereaved, they would say, the time will come when that child goes from outside in your arms to inside into your heart. And you carry them with great reverence and with great love for the rest of your life. Our wish for you this Christmas, whether newly or long-term bereaved, is that you will have hope. And hope, as you know, is not something wished for, it's something that's made. Hope is, even when you don't feel like it, putting your feet out of the bed in the morning, getting the breakfast, getting others ready for school, going to work, doing all the normal things. And hope at this time is making Christmas. And believe me, that child who has gone from you in the flesh will be with you in the spirit this Christmas as you make their presence real in your family, in hope and love. And they will wait for you for all eternity, always loving you, until you arrive to them eventually at the end of your own days, in which case they will run to greet you and jump into your arms. Thank you.